Welcome everyone to the Side Drive Podcast, and welcome to our Truck Series race review from Talladega and the Sugarlands Shine 250. And we got to see some playoff drama. Well, not necessarily with the playoff drivers, but the ex-playoff driver.
Yeah, the Truck Series got a lot of drama this year, so always pay attention to the Truck Series.
Yeah, so starting off, Matt Crafton on pole. If you win this race and you're in the playoffs, you're locked in the Homestead.
Yes, I mean, so it's a very important race.
Johnny Sauter would eventually take the lead over his teammate Matt Crafton. Then Sheldon Creed would take the lead. I know there's a lot of he takes the lead here. So
yeah, that's usually what it is at Talladega, because somebody get a good run on the high side or the low side, and the lead just keeps changing back and forth. But like a lot of teammates out there working together.
It would have a caution for the 18 of Harrison Burton. He would spin. It'd be all right. It'd go back out there, but it seems like there was a lot of fluid on the racetrack. Chastain had a flat tire, he thought he did, but it turns out it was just like some fuel on the racetrack. As they said, all the tires were good.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's just the handling issue on it just got a little slick or something. I thought it was a tire. So.
It'd be Sheldon Creed versus Brett Moffitt on the restart. Creed would be able to hold him off and win stage one, his third stage win of the season. He's not running for a championship or anything, but just trying to get a win.
Yeah, all these non-playoff drivers are trying to shine today.
Yeah, especially in the Sugarlands Shine. Stage two, Brett Moffitt would be out first on pit road. Ross Chastain would stay out with Riley Herbst on the outside. That's just because you don't really need tires. Just fuel's the main thing at super speedway races. And
the tires really don't fall off or having issues really at the speedways. Just mostly just need some gas to make it to the stage.
Yeah, tires are more of a handling thing. If your car's not handling well, maybe put it on some fresh tires and see how it handles then. But we'll see a nice battle between Enfinger and Chastain. But then Brett Moffitt would power to the lead. And shortly after that would have a caution with 0-2 of Tyler Dipple. He would spin. And John Hunter Nemechek was also involved. And John Hunter, his day is done.
Yeah, everybody kind of stacked up on it because Enfinger just, went to the middle and just got out of the groove or something. But John Hunter just couldn't check up enough and got a little bit of damage and ended his day.
It'd be Moffitt versus Crafton on the restart. Crafton didn't get any playoff point or stage points on that last stage, so he's trying to get at least some. Ended up getting 1 point.
1 point. Wow. I mean, these stage points really matter, and you really got to stay in the top 10 to let them points add up for the playoffs. I mean, they're very, very important.
Austin Hill would eventually take the lead. Grant Enfinger would be on pit road just so it would stay out, and the following caution, very shortly with the stage. It's really helpful now that that there's going to be a caution. You don't have to guess, when we're going to get one. So the stage just kind of helps at super speedway races.
Yeah, if you get in before the 2 laps, so they close the pit road, and once everybody else comes in, you come out the leader. So good strategy.
Stuart Friesen would power to the lead and win stage 2. It would be also his third stage win of the season.
Yeah, him and Brett Moffitt seem like they was really working really good together. Stuart Friesen has some crazy thing with the flapping on the back. It's just I don't know if it's just the air turbulence just blew it up, but I knew NASCAR didn't like that too well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were designed to do that, because I saw a lot of the GMS trucks, GMS and affiliated trucks, they all did that, but didn't really see anyone else do that. Spencer Boyd winning the race, his was like that. So, yeah, not sure what the deal was.
With all the turbulent air going through the trucks and with a spoiler, I don't know if it just kind of just makes it blow up like that and just won't fall back down. But when he went on pit road, it came back down, so it's working. They just ain't sure what was causing it to do like that on the speedway.
Yeah, so start stage 3, Tyler Ankrum, he's going for a championship. He would be out first on pit row. It'd be big for him to win the race, go into Homestead, and go to Martinsville and ISM without anything to worry about. But Grant Enfinger would take the lead shortly. He'd make a block, but it just wouldn't work. He just kind of, after all that he kind of leapfrogged everybody with that pit strategy, and then it all just crumbles away at that point.
Away. I mean, yeah, the blocking is a big issue with the super speedways, and I don't believe he did the block quite right and went too far up, and then just got shuffled out of the draft, and all of it just went to the back.
Yeah, but definitely a lot better than it could have went. Could have been him turning and hitting the inside wall. So
it's usually the blocks usually end up a lot of times, or just stay in your lane and try to work your way to stay to the front.
And then Friesen and Ankrum be side by side. Ankrum would eventually take it, but Friesen and Moffitt, they would be powering back up there. Friesen would eventually take the lead back, but then they would get too far up there, and they got black flagged for locking bumpers. I saw a lot of people doing it. They just didn't get black flagged for it. And then in that case, I didn't really see any locking bumpers there.
I didn't see any evidence. They didn't show no video saying that they did lock bumpers, because all the videos, they were just bumping. I mean, they just worked the draft very well, and I believe they didn't like him getting too far ahead of the lead. I mean, even the announcers didn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and who knows? They could have just showed the wrong footage. It is Fox Sports and the Truck Series. They've had quite a bit of issues with that throughout this season, so that could have been a thing.
Yeah, with the Truck Series, they don't have as many cameras like they do in the Cup Series, but maybe NASCAR saw something nobody else did and didn't have footage of it. But they did get a pretty good lead. That kind of rule just kind of sucks, because they have to come in for a pass-through penalty, and then they're like a half lap down, which eventually they win a lap down.
Yeah, there's so many stupid rules in the Trucks and Xfinity when it comes to super speedway races and stuff. So, don't want to have any more rules to make it even more confusing in the series. So, yeah, just wish they would clean up some of those things, because it makes watching the race a little frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, these little controversial little rules kind of aggravates a lot of fans and drivers as well. I mean, just like the yellow line rule. I mean, a lot of it's a little gray areas. I mean, it's just kind of hard to it's just really comes down to a decision whether it's a penalty or not.
And Todd Gilliland, he would inherit the lead after Friesen and Moffitt then make their way down pit road. Ankrum would eventually take it back from Gilliland, and then Johnny Sauter, he would make his way up there. It seemed like Sauter could control the field pretty well.
Yeah, once he got the lead, I mean, he pretty much controlled the whole pack.
And green flag pit stops would begin. Looked like all the Thor Sport trucks was with each other. You can add Todd Gilliland to that list. He kind of went away from the KBM trucks and just followed the Fords.
Yeah, follow who's faster.
Yeah. Then Clay Greenfield, he was with that group as well. He'd be called for too fast entering.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious he coming in smoking his tires. he was fine.
Yeah. And then Ankrum, he would come down pit road, in the next batch of cars or trucks, and he would get stalled going into his pit stop, and then also too fast entering, and it wouldn't necessarily kill his day, but it definitely
put a damper on it.
Yeah. So, him trying to go to Homestead, that's not going to happen because of that.
Yeah, I believe Sheldon Creed was in front of him, wasn't he? And kind of pinned him in his box a little bit, and he kind of slowed getting out. Cost him a lot of time. So.
Yeah, Friesen also too fast entering. Friesen looked like he had, one of the faster trucks, even though being fast here really doesn't do too much, but he still was able to, like Sauter, able to control the field Probably, him and Sauter was the best at doing that. And then, unfortunately,
It was him and Moffitt coming at the same time. You can really see that Stewart was a little bit had a bigger gap on Moffitt as you come in the pits, and that's pretty obvious. I hate it for freezing. I mean, he's going for he's really uh, dominating pretty much in his playoffs, and I like seeing him make it to Homestead.
then Johnny Sauter would take the lead back after all the pit stops would cycle out. They would have a caution for the 15 of Anthony Alfredo. That would be with just like 15 to go. Ended up going back to green with 10 to go or so. Then it'd be Sauter versus Enfinger for the lead. Sauter would end up getting into the middle lane, try to do like Enfinger did earlier in the race, try to block but didn't work, and then just lost a ton of spots. Chastain would take the lead after that, and then he would try the block but didn't quite work. Didn't have an escape plan like everyone else did. He inevitably got turned. He's pretty aggressive in the race. That's what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
I said in Fast Picks, Chastain was either going to go out there, be aggressive, and win the race, or he's going to end up on the back of a truck. And unfortunately for him, it was the back of a truck. So
Yeah, he's up there leading the race. I mean, when you're on a high line and somebody hooks your bumper like that, you just kind of just go around. You go and collect a couple other people too, and I would say it is a close call with Natalie Decker. I mean, she didn't tear her truck up too bad, and she continued on, so that's good for her.
yeah, then involved in that crash was of course Chastain, Enfinger, Natalie Decker, Duzat, Robot, and Clay Greenfield. Tough day for Clay.
Yeah, when the truck turns around, you got trucks coming at you head on, and you couldn't take somebody out.
Yeah, you're just in for a ride at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then Sheldon Creed would take the lead after all that would happen. Johnny Sauter would be up there battling for the lead with Creed. And then Gus Dean, he was having a pretty good day up in the third position. He would get loose and got spun around and hard hit into the inside wall.
Yes, I mean, like I don't know if he hit a bump or his truck got really loose, and then when Gillen bumped him in the back, it just really upset his truck, and he just lost it. Really tough hit in the inside wall. I mean, I hate to see them kind of hits.
Then it'd be Sheldon Creed versus Johnny Sauter. Sauter would take the lead, and then, like I said, he was pretty good at holding everybody off up until the tri-oval part of the final lap. We had Riley Herbst right there behind him. But Herbst went to the low side trying to pass him without going below the yellow line, but just Johnny Sauter tried to block him, and then Herbst clipped him just a little bit, and that allowed to let Sauter go below the yellow line as well, and it looked to be like Sauter won the race. And then we don't really see the call for blocking people underneath the yellow line. I guess the first time it's actually ever been called.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough call right there. Let Riley hit him in the back corner pound a little bit, and Johnny's trying to catch his truck, which went under yellow line. Yeah, we know these blocks, as product of the package, really, and it's a really tough call. I mean,
yeah, we watched it over and over. It was one time I watched it, I was like, yeah, Johnny Sauter definitely won the race. Looked like he got clipped by Herbst, and that was the reason why they went below the yellow line. And then other times I look at it, it's like, oh yeah, definitely Spencer Boyd should be the winner of the race. So it could be argued both ways, and that's the problem. That's the main issue with the yellow line rule. It's like we've seen same exact moves as that, and then Sauter would have won in that case scenario. Then we've seen not as many, but we've seen a few where Spencer Boyd won, and I guess Boyd got lucky with the review.
Yeah, I don't think Sauter actually forced him down there. He was just going for a block, and Riley already went below the yellow line and tried to come back up, and that's what got in Sauter. But Spencer gave Riley a good push right there, and it was a good run by Spencer. I mean, he was what 10th with like a lap or two to go.
Yeah,
And,
he was.
and he was just like coming through the field. Everybody else was kind of washing up to the high line, trying to get a run going, and he stuck to the bottom and got himself in position. You know, and yeah, congratulations to Young Motorsports and Spencer Boyd on their first win. I mean, that's pretty awesome at Talladega.
Yeah, it's even though it's unfortunate for Johnny Sauter and ThorSport, they've had a rough patch of races, but Young's Motorsports, they finally got that first win, and Spencer Boyd, one of the best with the fans, especially on Twitter. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person to win the race. It's so cool to see guys like Spencer Boyd do well.
It's unfortunate he didn't get his burnt out, so he didn't get out of the truck. And they said, "Hey, you won," so he had to get back in the truck, get a victory lane. So, in the very first one to get to go in the pretty awesome victory lane with the whole sliding door and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of the old NASCAR game, NASCAR Thunder 2003, the way they pull in the victory lane there. So,
yeah.
Hoping they'll do a reenactment of that celebration.
Yeah.
For the Cup Series race. But yeah, it's one of those things. I wish I could use NASCAR footage to really show you. Probably could, but we don't necessarily have the rights to do so.
We're working on it.
Working on it, but I want to be able to go through the wreck and show everything, but not the wreck, but the finish. That was almost a wreck.
Almost a wreck.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I'm happy for Boyd, but also at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what you would call the move. I don't know what I would call it if I was in NASCAR's shoes there.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the right call, but they haven't made the right call in previous races. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say now.
Yeah, it's like sometimes they make the right call and sometimes they don't. So, in this case, I think they did make the right call.
Yeah.
But also, it's inconsistent from what they have been doing. So, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. Nothing that we can say could overturn it, even if we was against the rule and all that. I do think the yellow line rule, it either needs to be abolished or they need to have like a dotted line throughout the tri-oval where you can go below it. So I think that would clean up a lot of things. There's been a lot of controversy past couple of years, especially with this new playoff stuff. You got to get the win, get into the next round, especially in the Truck Series. If you're in the playoffs, you go to Miami. So
yeah, and Spencer Boyd, he couldn't really celebrate a whole lot in victory lane because he had good qualify. He's in the Cup race, and wish him good luck. Maybe he'll pull off a sweep for the weekend. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe somebody will do the same thing, and Spencer Boyd's up there. We'll just have to see though.
Yeah.
Like in Talladega, anybody has a chance as long as you're entered. You got a chance to win. So.
And the thing was, he wasn't sure if he's going to be in that race, and it just a deal come together, and he got the race, and now I got the win, and now Young Motorsports got a win. So
yeah, so you can take up momentum for next year.
Yeah,
and then and also the rest of the season. So we do want to go through the playoffs right now. Of course, Sauter and Grant Enfinger are out. They had no chance of going to Homestead, even if they won. They tried to get it to where they'd be in the playoffs. Would have stung even more at that point if Sauter was still in the playoffs. It would have been, yes, we're in Miami, and then
nope, we're not.
Nope, we're not. So Ross Chastain right now, in terms of the active playoff drivers, he is last, but just 2 points out. That's how close this point battle is.
Yeah, we got Martinsville coming up, and so Ross Chastain, he's pretty good there.
Yeah, nobody's in a must-win situation, just 2 points out.
Yeah, anything can happen because last time the trucks ran, they blow motors, and then here's another controversial call, and anything can happen in the next couple races.
In Martinsville, everybody's going to probably, wreck probably more than they did in Talladega. So,
Awesome.
then in the 5th spot, we have Tyler Ankrum, just 1 point out from Matt Crafton in 4th. And Austin Hill, he's a little bit safer with 12 points up. And then Stuart Friesen, 22 points up. And then Brent Moffitt, 45 points up. So Moffitt, all he's got to do is just finish the race. He's pretty set and good for Homestead. As long as he finishes the race at Martinsville, he's pretty good. Friesen, he's got a... If he wins both stages and all that, he's probably in.
Yeah, he's got a good chance staying in.
But for Hill, Crafton, Ankrum, and Chastain, it's going to be a great battle. So stay tuned for our race reviews. I know Martinsville is in like 2 weeks, so we're going to have to say goodbye to the Truck Series for another week.
Yeah.
But thankfully after that, we'll just have one more off week for the Truck Series.
Yeah, and I picked Johnny Sauter to win the race. He's always good at Talladega, and once again, I get a win taken away. So I don't know what it is about the Truck Series, and
they don't like you winning.
They don't like me winning. So come on, just get over it. I'm going to win.
All right, so you're going to have to wait a few weeks to pick a Martinsville pick.
Yeah.
Win the race, and hopefully get to keep it if you do win. But that was our race review. I know it's a little late from when the race actually happened, but hopefully in the Cup race we'll get to get it out pretty soon. If it don't rain, we'll be able to. So stay tuned for our Cup Series race review. Hopefully that'll be later today. And then if it gets rained out, it'll unfortunately be like Tuesday or so before we can get it out. So stay tuned.